What is up, guys? It is DMG here, and today we're going to be doing another starter squad, this time featuring La Liga. And again, we're going to be using the 4-3-3, and I'm mainly doing this just so then we have a more wide range of players that we can see, rather than just focusing in on a formation. So, you know, if we were to use like a 4-1-2-1-2 narrow, or pretty much any formation without wingers, right? No left mids, right mids, left wings, right wings, we wouldn't see any wingers in that league. So, striker, center forward, see if we can find anything here. And obviously there's going to be a lot of top quality here for La Liga, considering it has, you know, arguably two of the best teams and three of the best teams with Atletico Madrid. So, you know, you got Messi, Suarez, Griezmann, of course, you can try to go get. But it has Iñaki Williams, who obviously looks amazing. It's got Ben Yedder, it's got Gamero. So three top players there. You got Toko Ekambi, who's, you know, four top players there. Saint-Emina, he actually looks decent enough. So, I mean, you have a lot of players you can try to go at. Muriel. In fact, you know what? Muriel, we're going to just slot in here straight away. We're going to slot in Muriel just because I know from last year he was really, really good. Now, in terms of good other players here, let's see if we can find anything maybe in the lower rated section, yeah? You got Doumbia, you got Sansone, but, you know, you got Sobrino and you got Sansone and Boateng. So you definitely have a lot of depth at striker. You have a lot of decent players there as well. So moving on to the left mids and left wings, see if we can find anything here. You do have Promes. Promes would be good. 83 overall, though. He's going to be a little bit more expensive, so that might not be the best. Guedes, someone who looks really solid. Inui actually looks really good. His pace is a little bit lacking. I thought it would be a little bit higher. We'll put him on the bench so we can find anything else here. Sisto would be good. That guy, don't know how to pronounce that name, but I think that'd be good. Junior's definitely going to be more expensive. There's like, I really, really doubt there's no way that you could kind of get him in your starter team. I'd be really, really surprised. Ndaye, we'll just call him Ndaye. Yeah, Ndaye and Simon, I think those are two good options there. Moving on to right mid and right wing, so we can find anything here. Of course, you got some very solid players initially, right, with Bale. You got Malcolm, you got Dembele. Martins, I think, is going to be a little bit more expensive just because of that insane pace. And he also, it says he only has 61 physical, but his stamina is like 85 or higher. It's like past 85, I'm pretty sure. But for right now, I would probably say Correa is probably kind of our top spot. Gerler, we could probably get him as a sub. So I'll be honest, there's actually not a lot of decent players at the right mid spot, at the right wing spot for La Liga. I'll be honest. I mean, you have like kind of top quality players with Bale, with Dembele, with Martins, so you can, you know, aim to get something. But in terms of a little bit more depth, who are a little bit better, you might have to sacrifice a little bit. So, you know, good and bad in a few ways. Bad, obviously, because there's not as many good players, but good because then, you know, if you want to save some coins, then you can, because there might not be a lot of difference between some of the players. And then moving on to the midfielders. I'll be honest, I remember from just previous FIFAs, midfielders were a little bit tougher to come by, at least quality ones, just because there weren't a lot of pacey midfielders, right? You had people like Busquets, people like Rakitic, Casemiro, who have very low pace, who, I mean, you have Rakitic who has 6 stats, same thing for Parejo, honestly, but they're lacking in pace. And if we know anything about FIFA, it's that pace is extremely important. Kondogbia, Rafinha doesn't look that half bad either. Boudabooz at center attacking mid doesn't look too bad, but as a center mid might not be the best. Cazorla, now he actually has 5-star weak foot, 5-star skills, so he might be someone worth looking at. Denis Suarez, with those stats, actually looks quite decent. I think that he'd be someone to go with. And then the guy right next to him, was it Ricardo Meza? Something like that? Roque Meza, yeah. He was someone that would also look very, very good in that midfield spot, considering those stats and those high work rates. I mean, you do have another defense mid with Coquelin. That actually looks pretty decent, honestly. Escalante doesn't look half bad as a defensive mid either, but let's see if we can find more of like a box-to-box midfield type. Jensen doesn't actually look that horrible. He actually looks decent. I think he'd be a good sub, I would say. Kind of a good super sub. You know, if you can't get one of those, you know, one of the midfielders that you're looking for, you could just throw in Jensen just because he has very good all-around stats. But because we didn't find like kind of a center attack mid, then we'll just throw in Boo. All right, so now we're going to be going into the right back spot. Hopefully we can find some decent players here. There's obviously going to be Carvajal. Yeah, Carvajal is the main guy here. Yatsumedo, or Dizzolo does actually, or Dizzola doesn't actually look that bad. DeMarcos is someone you could always get. Kappa is always someone you could always get. Arias, so there's some good quality here. There's some good quality here. With one front as well. So I would say like these four would be someone to aim for. I'm gonna put in Kappa just because you compare him to DeMarco, same pace, one less dribbling, one less defending, but you have 5 more physical, and I think that's gonna make the world of difference. So then going on to the left back spot, you obviously have Marcelo, Jordi Alba. I'm not actually a huge fan of Felipe Luis. I'd actually use Lucas Hernandez instead. Now, I've noticed from the demo that having attacking fullbacks is extremely helpful. People like Marcelo and Jordi Alba are going to be very, very good. You could go with Guy here. You could go with Juan Costa, who actually doesn't look that bad. Mojica doesn't actually look horrible either. He's still going to be pretty expensive anyway just because of that pace. So you could just go with Gaia instead. You could go with Mojica instead. What I'm going to do is actually going to go with Juan Costa just because he's very good at defending. So I'm going to go with him. And plus, he has high work rate, so I'm going to put him in as kind of a backup. But just know there are other better players, not necessarily better, but there are other players as well that you can put in at left back. So then moving on to center back now. Now, obviously, a lot of top quality here, right? You got Ramos, who's probably going to be one of the better ones in the game. You got Umtiti. You got Varane, who has 84 pace. So yeah, you got even Nacho Fernandez, so you do have a lot of quality players here. Gabriel Paulista actually looks decent. Murillo actually looks quite decent as well. Again, he's 81 overall, so that might be a little bit more expensive, especially compared to other players that we've had in center back spots, compared, for other leagues in general, not even just for the Liga, so he might be a little bit more expensive. Mercado, he's short, I think, is the only problem. But he has good stats, and he would be probably worth trying out, but just keep in mind that I think his height is a little bit lacking. If I remember that right, I think he might be 5'10", 5'11" or so. We are going to be going with Mercado, actually, just because, he looks decent enough. There's Vallejo, who looks decent, but not a lot of depth at center back, unfortunately. Lastly, the goalkeeper. There's going to be Ter Stegen. There's Courtois and Oblak now. Ter Stegen does have save with the feet trait. At least he did FIFA 18, which made him such an amazing goalkeeper. So I think he'd be the top goalkeeper in La Liga. But obviously you're not going to be getting him straight away. So you do have Moya, who looks decent. Roberto doesn't actually look half bad because, yes, his handling's bad, but the 3 other stats, which in my opinion are a little bit more important, or at least the most important in a goalie, they're decently high. 78 diving, 80 reflexes, 76 positioning. So, I wouldn't have a problem throwing him in straight away. So, we do have our completed team, right? And striker-wise, we're good. Winger-wise, we're good as well. Midfielders, it lacks a little bit of depth, I would say. Defensive mid-wise, I think it's good. And players who are kind of mid-tier, so not starter squad, right? They're better than starter squad, but they're not as good as, that top-tier quality. There's a lot of good defensive mids there, like Kondogbia, for example. For the defense at left back and right back, I do think you have some good options there, and you do have a couple of good upgrades that you could try to aim for as well. Center back spots, in terms of top quality players, you're set there. A lot of things you can aim for, but it's going to be a little bit harder to try to get someone who's at least good straight away, right? So this might be a good spot to have a little bit of a hybrid going. So that's probably going to be it for this video, guys. If you do have any suggestions for any of the Liga players, just let me know and I'll try to answer them for you guys. But like I said, that's going to be it. Thank you guys so much for watching. This has been DMG. Peace.